YouTube? I'm back here today for another game review. And today I'm excited checking out Mystery Garden from Ravensburger. This is for 2 to 4 players. Age is 4+. It'll take about, 20 to 30 minutes to play. And in Mystery Garden, this is a mashup of I Spy and 20 questions in which you are going to be asking questions about a mystery tile and then trying to spot things on the board that could potentially be the thing on the tile. What am I talking about? It's a light, simple children/family game, but is it good? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what should I get inside of Mystery Garden. Before we get started, I do want to mention I don't actually have the rule book with me. I looked it up online. It's very easy to find online. You can find a PDF of it, print it off if you need to. But I can still explain the game to you really simply because it is a very simple game. So in Mystery Garden, you're going to put together your board, and I actually want to mention that it's kind of this neat little puzzle. And this is going to be sort of an I Spy 20 questions sort of game where you're going to have to look at all the different pictures on the board, find different things, and then ask questions about the tile that is in somebody's hand. What am I talking about? Let's go over the components. Let's get into the gameplay. So first, you got this little token right here. This is only used in the advanced version of the game, and it just makes it so that the person who has the tile is more likely to get the tile and win it for themselves. That'll make more sense in a second. Next, you're going to have this little meeple right here, which is going to go along this path to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so on and so forth. This is just to keep track of how many questions have been asked. And each time someone asks a question and it gets answered, you move them further along the path. If they ever get all the way to the castle, then the person who is holding the tile gets to keep the tile. What's the tile? These are the tiles over here. And I want to mention that there's a lot more tiles still left in the box. There's plenty of tiles in this game. And how it works is the tile is going to be something that is on the board. It could be anything. It could be a person. It could be a flower. It could be a pear. It could be the castle. It could be anything on this board. So in this particular instance, it is the unicorn. So what happens is when you first start the game, someone is randomly going to be selected, and they're going to take one of these tiles, and they will be the question answerer. Now, everyone else at the table is now going to ask questions in turn order that are either yes or no questions relating to this tile. This is where the 20 questions aspects of the game comes into play. So someone might come out, and they might ask, is this something that is living? At which point, I would then say, well, a unicorn is alive. You wouldn't say that out loud. You just say, yes, it's living. It's not dead. So, boop, we'd go right there. And then the next player, in turn order, would say, is this something that's I'd find on a farm? Because, we got pigs, we got rabbits, we got cows. And I'd say no. So then, boop, it'd move right there. And then someone would say, is this a plant? Because there's lots of plants, there's trees. And they'd say, nope. And as you start to answer these questions, you're going to slowly whittle down what it could or could not be. Now, eventually, so what some people are going to ask, or they're going to start asking specific questions like, are it these bees? And then someone would say no. Or is it this pig? And you say no. And if someone ever gets it right, then they win the tile. This counts as a victory point. They put it in front of them. You go to as many points as you want to go to. With a higher player count, you probably go to maybe 2 or 3 of these tiles. But the person who gets the victory point is then going to put it in front of them. They're going to start this back here, and then they will now be the tile holder. Now, what can happen from time to time is that we get all the way up to the castle up here. If you get all the way to the castle up here, then whoever has the tile actually gets to keep the tile and put it in front of them, and then they do that once again. Now, this little token, how it works is, if you want to play a slightly more advanced version, you might put it right here, which means if the pawn ever gets to this spot, then the person gets to keep the tile. And that makes asking the questions a little bit more difficult. But anywho, you're going to continue to go until you get to X number of points. X really is whatever number you choose to play to, at which point that person will be the winner of Mystery Garden. And that, in a nutshell, is how the game is played. Alright then, Mystery Garden from Ravensburger. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. 2 to 4 players, restricted player count. Now that being said, you can easily go, I'd say up to 6 players is about where I'd cut it off. And I did. I played this with up to 6 kids, up to 5 kids and me. And we had no problems with the game. The only rule you really have to modify is that you go to a fewer number of victory points. So take that 2 to 4 players and pretty much ignore that. It goes up to 2 to 6 players, in my personal opinion. Another comment I have of this game is that this game falls purely in the children/family weight category. This is not a game night game. This is not a lightweight filler game. This is something you're only going to be playing with kids 99.9% of the time, so I did want to mention that. Also, I wish there was an advanced version of the game that would make the board bigger. Maybe it just added like an extra puzzle piece you could put on there if you're playing with slightly older kids. Because while there is tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff to see, I feel like it would have just gave the game some extra legs. And that's another thing. This is not a game you're going to want to play over and over and over and over and over and again in one sitting. This is the kind of game where you're going to bust it out from time to time to time, maybe play it 2 or 3 times each time, and then put it back. Because eventually you will start to see that there are certain questions that are just better to ask, and kids will figure out those questions, and that will cheapen the game a little bit. Another comment over this game is that some kids did not like the fact that the only way you get to be the question answerer is by answering a question correctly, because the person who gets the tile, gets the victory point tile, then becomes the next question answerer. So I have kids who are like, why don't I ever get a turn being the one to answer the questions? And be like, because you suck and you never get any of them right. Sucks to suck, kid. I mean, obviously you'll probably want to put that in a nicer way, but that's just one of the rules of the game, and some kids are not going to like that rule, and you need to know if your kid is one of those kids to tell them to quit whining preemptively. Any other cons that I have with the game? No real strategy, aside from asking the right question. Oh, this is another big one. You will have kids that can and will ruin this game, not by any fault of their own. It says ages 4+, and I would agree with that. I played this with my 5-year-old who had no problem playing the game, but sometimes you just need to know if your kids are ready to be the question answerer, because is it living sounds like a really simple question. And most of the time someone will ask that question in the game because it's a very valid question to ask. But kids, especially younger kids, don't quite understand that concept as well as adults do. And sometimes they will understand that concept, but then they won't understand that, like, a tree is alive or, a plant is alive. So you need to be careful when kids are being the question answers, because I had this happen more than a few times, especially even with 7 and 8-year-olds. They didn't understand all the questions, or they didn't keep track of all the questions, and so you need to know that. No more cons on this game. Moving on to the pros, I think Mystery Garden is a great children's game, and I think it's a great family game, and if you have kids ages 4 to, I'd say, about 13, 14 years old, I definitely can recommend Mystery Garden. You know what? I'm going to strap that about 12 years old. 4 to 12 years old. You have kids ages 4 to 12 years old, pick this up. Pure and simple. It's light, simple, fun, easy to learn, easy to teach. It straddles the line between being a children's game and being a family game. And when I say children's game, I mean a game that kids can play by themselves without any adults. I definitely feel like kids can manage this game. I do wish it was slightly bigger. I feel like that would give the game extra legs and might bump it up to, say, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. But as is, I think this is a great game. I'm pretty sure it's out of print, but if you can find it, I like this game an awful lot. I like how it mashes up 20 questions and I Spy. I like the fact that it's a very free-form game, that you can ask any question you want as long as it's a yes or no question. I like that, and kids will come up with some creative questions, and it causes them to think creatively about the question they want to ask without giving away too much information. And that's a very important aspect of this game, which I liked, was that you could ask, is this something that's sweet? And if they say yes, someone's probably going to get that correct because there's not too many sweet things on the board. So you have to kind of phrase your questions a little bit differently. I also like the fact that there's the I Spy aspect of this. Well, yes, you might ask that question, but if someone isn't paying attention to the giant gingerbread house there, then they might not see it. Obviously, that's a terrible example because the gingerbread house is big, but you're not going to be able to see everything on the board, and that adds a really unique aspect to the game. In the end, I think Mystery Garden is a great family game. I think it's a great children's game, and it's definitely one I can recommend if you have younger kids. If you don't have younger kids, if you don't play with kids, then obviously you're going to want to steer clear of this. But I like the components. I like the gameplay. It's easy to learn. It's easy to teach. It goes up to 6 players if you're willing to modify the rules. And in the end, I really enjoy Mystery Garden. This is one I'm going to be keeping both in my classroom and in my house to play with my kids. Definitely recommend this one. If you enjoyed this review, please try to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. Where's Waldo or I Spy books? Very personally, where's Waldo? All day. All day, baby. I just never, I like the I Spy books, but I just like the Where's Waldo better. I really like the sense of humor that the Where's Waldo books had, and all the cool little things you would find in the pictures, whereas the I Spy, all the pictures just looked like they were creepy pictures from a haunted house. But let me know in the comments below. I Spy, Where's Waldo? Which one did you enjoy more as a kid or now? Hell, now. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.